Welcome back to Beauty Marks Podcast, a space where we embrace marks acquired through our journey. My name is Elizabeth Sabillon, and thank you for joining me on this week's episode. On this week's episode, it is actually International Women's Day, so congratulations to you if you're a woman listening to this. I just want to shout you out. If no one has told you, you are doing a great job. This whole month is really about recognizing historic women, but also women that are doing an impact in their community, in the world, maybe even in your own home. You know, some women hashtag girl bosses and people that you just admire, you know. And so on this week's episode, I'm actually talking with my sister, Stephanie Sabillon, or Stephanie, I always say Stephanie Sabillon, but I know it's Stephanie Marcelin Sabillon. She's on the podcast this week. I'm really excited about this conversation, so let's just get right into it. Hey, Steph, welcome back to the podcast.
Hello, Liz. Thank you so much for having me back again.
Yes, thank you for joining. And
I don't even feel like a guest anymore. I feel like I'm just part of it at this point.
Are you a co-host? Maybe.
I may be co-host. Yeah, every now
Everyone
and then.
loves you on here, though. So honestly,
Oh, well, I love
feel
all of your supporters, and I love everything that you are continuing to do and build within Beauty Marks Podcast.
Thank you. I feel like I get awkward in compliments, which that's maybe something that we should talk about today too. Of why is it so hard sometimes for women to take compliments? We kind of get like really awkward or uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think it's. I remember at work one time there was a physician that came up to me and they're like, "Man, you're doing such a great job," or whether it was something complimenting me on like something that I had created or whatever the case. And I'm like, "Oh no, it's nothing," like, you know, just kind of brushing it off. But I knew it was a lot of work. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of work put into it. And I was like, "Oh no, you know, no need to, like, you're fine." They're like, "Are you calling me a liar?" And I was like, "No, I'm not calling you a liar. Like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to like offend you or anything." They're like, "But by you negating my compliment, you're calling me a liar."
Ooh.
And so I was like, wow. So then I'm like invalidating what someone else is saying about me. And so ever since that day, and that was probably like, oh my gosh, maybe like 8 years ago, I always remember that. And I know that it makes people feel uncomfortable, you know what I mean, when you are receiving a compliment. But at the end of the day, when you do invalidate somebody else's comment, or you know what I mean, you're in essence kind of calling them a liar. Not that it's gonna make anything feel better for you, but it's one way to look at it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you know the effort that you put into your work, like, be proud of it and just say thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the least that we can say. But I always remember that whenever people talk about compliments and like everything, because it was just such a shock response that I had never received before. So yeah.
No, I have never heard it in that way, and that's such a good way to say it. It's like,
and it was actually from another woman too. So she was a physician,
and she was probably like way confident. She was like, "Oh no, girl,
yeah, she's the whole boss." So it's like,
yeah. So before we get started, I wanted to ask you, who is someone that you look up to in regards to maybe a public figure or an author or a writer, a speaker? Who is someone that you look up to?
Man, I have a couple of women who I kind of follow closely. I'm not going to say like I'm a fan, but definitely enjoy their work, their conversations. And one of the things that I love about these women, and I'll share who they are, but they are not afraid of the difficult conversations. They're not afraid to, and some of these women are, I think, if not all of these women are actually like in ministry leadership roles, which for me as a woman in ministry and obviously in leadership inside and outside of church, it just exemplifies like a role that I can identify with myself. And so I love just how they mirror Jesus in all of these different areas. And so one of them is Jackie Hill Perry. Absolutely love her work, her books, her as an author, as a poet. Oh my gosh, I just love all of that. Pastor Janet Salguero, she is a close mentor of mine, and I absolutely love her. Shout out to you if you're listening to this. Dr. Anita Phillips, she is a mental health counselor and also a ministry worker as well. And so I absolutely love her work. Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts, Dr. Caroline Leaf. And I think that within all of these different women, they speak about the vulnerability of like emotions and spirituality and just how God really just, is so intricate and cares about all of these different avenues of your life, and just holistic approach to the gospel, which I absolutely adore. And so yeah, so they just, you know, watching them lead, you know, I don't know, it speaks to me, you know what I mean, in all the different areas of my life. So definitely women that I look up to.
Yeah, that's so good. I follow all of those people, so I agree.
Yeah, they're good.
No, yeah, because I feel like that's true. It's like people that are like speak about things that are that kind of that matter that a lot of people experience that they don't talk about, but they bring it up,
Yep.
and them expressing their opinion and their knowledge from like the Bible, like what it says versus like what maybe society might say.
Yeah.
And so aside from maybe someone that you admire publicly, how about someone around you that you really admire?
When I kind of look around, the closest thing, and it might be cliche, but you know, my mother, like Yoli Sabillon, she's the whole definition of girl boss before the term even was trendy. Like she has just exerted just a sense of just fearlessness and like confidence and like being meek and kind, but knowing your worth and your value and never letting anybody, you know, deteriorate that.
Mm-hmm.
But within all of that, having full confidence that God has called you for this moment.
Mm.
And just her, oh my goodness, like, you know, I believe that everyone has gifts, you know what I'm saying? And her gifts is just faith. Like, this just like measure of faith that I'm just like, mom, that sounds crazy. Like
Yeah.
and so within seeing her just kind of navigate different circles, conversations inside and outside of church, in the public sector, you know what I mean?
As a
And as a
businesswoman.
businesswoman in multiple different careers within business and just all the knowledge and experience, but yet still being humble enough to, you know, sit down with someone and have a conversation and teach them and mentor them. All of these different things are just beautiful to me. And so it just, you know, if I can be 10% of that, you know, when I grow up, it's like, Lord, just allow me the ability, you know. Um,
Yes.
but
So good.
definitely someone that I look up to till this day. And I know she listens to your podcast. So, mom,
Shout out to
shout out
mom.
to you.
I know. We love you, mom. Honestly, she's a fearless woman. And she was on my
Yes.
podcast before sharing her a little bit of her story, which is a little bit because
Yes.
she's been through so much. She was an
Mm-hmm.
immigrant.
Yes.
She came from Honduras at a young age, had 11 brothers and sisters, one of the youngest ones,
Mm-hmm.
went through a lot in her life, but she has literally not let anything stop her. Like the
Right.
language barrier, the knowledge of school, not going
Nothing.
to school, like
Mm-hmm.
all these other things that she experienced, like she has pushed forward. And so she's given us that. And I feel like I have said this before in the podcast that I told her, I was like, mom, like you set the bar pretty high. Like,
Yeah.
so I have to exceed everything you've done, which is like
Yeah.
really high.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I know she always wants us to do that. So that's awesome. I think that a lot of people have people that they admire. I would say at least one person that they admire that's around them. And hopefully you have that person. If it's like your mom, your sister, your aunt, maybe,
Yeah.
a friend, someone that you see around you that you're like, life is better because they're in it and they
Yeah.
are able to shine some light and wisdom into you. And you just see that like, they've been through so much, but their heart is still so pure and they
Yeah.
have good intentions and they keep on going, that they don't give up no matter what. And
Yep.
that inspires me. And I think that that is beautiful when you see that people that have gone through so much, but they're still such beautiful souls. Like they don't let the world or what they've gone through stop that, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
change them,
Absolutely.
or make them, you know what I mean? Like not continue
Bitter or
to,
resentful,
yeah.
or, you know, it changes who they are. I think that, you know, within women who, you know, women and, you know, even people that you admire throughout life, I think one of the valuable attributes is authenticity. You know what I mean? Them being authentic to themselves and not shying away from who they truly are, regardless of what happens around them. So, absolutely.
Yeah. So like honestly with mom, I feel like that has even shown me like that women are capable of so many things. Like we're mothers, we're wives, we're daughters, we are mentors, we are pastors, we are leaders, we are business owners, we are um a lot of things. What are other things that we are? We're just so teachers. We're like just so many aspects of us, about us. And so I don't feel like we ever fit in a box. Like we can do anything. Like we are capable of doing anything. And each of us in our story looks so different too. So something that I have noticed though is that as much as women see those things maybe and are working on different areas of their life, that they want to do. Sometimes, I don't know if you've ever experienced that stuff, but we also look at our paths and then we start comparing our story or our path to someone else. And so, what do you have to say